what are your 5 kind of key takeaways that you've noticed in the new Act and the reform announcements?
Thanks, Lauren. I believe that it gives more optimism for people in the retirement village sector because it allows the consumer to make more choice in relation to their care options and where they would like to age in place. The 5 takeaways that I took away, number 1 was really the palliative care supplement, that $25,000. If you're a consumer and you truly want to make that last move, you're really your last move. You want to have confidence that you can palliate in your own home. So to be able to deliver that type of funding, I think it resonates strongly with me because it's something that we're really passionate about and will enable us to deliver the higher levels of funding in the supported home program up to that $78,000. Again, allows the consumer to make more choice. Can they receive that level of care in their own home or a similar, maybe a bit more level of care within a residential aged care setting? It gives them the choice to be able to allow them to say, where would I prefer to be? And again, that resonates really strongly with our model. I do feel, and particularly going back to the last draft and now into this new one, there is a nod to retirement village operators providing high levels of care. And I think that's a nod to the pioneers of the industry, people like Paul Brown, founder of LDK, that has been sort of passionately advocating for this for many, many years, like decades. I think it's finally some recognition from the government that it can be done. So that's something that I'm proud of for those people. The increased lifetime cap, I think, whilst if I'm a consumer, I might not want to pay that extra, I think it makes sense. If you are self-funded, then you should be able to contribute to your care. That is something but the consumer will take into account when they are making decisions because they'll be looking at what's actually coming out of their pocket. Whilst there will be more money coming in from the government, there will be more money going out of the pocket. So that will be part of the dynamic and part of that decision-making process I think they need. But for me, the consumer contributing, like the Plan B that we've all been talking about and Chris has been advocating for, I think is it just makes sense. So and also the clinical the clinical care and then the ongoing need and the strengthened need, I think, for more care governance within a retirement village setting. But the government then saying, look, we will contribute to your clinical care, but things that you've paid for throughout the most of your life, you'll make higher contributions for. So they're probably the top 5 things that I think I took away from the draft.
I mean, does LDK feel confident now in its strategy? I mean, are you going to change anything moving forward?
We definitely feel confident in our strategy. Without sounding arrogant, we made the deliberate decision when we started that we wouldn't hang around and wait for government to make decisions. So we have always sort of walked our own path in that regard. I think what the new Act does is give us confidence in our strategy and encourages us to continue and probably accelerate our strategy. The reason I say that is that what we hear from the consumer is that they want certainty, a definite certainty in the cost transaction that they'll have, particularly around their care. We can offer them absolute certainty within the property side where they live, but the care is an unknown factor when you come to live in an LDK community because you may not know what you need. By the government introducing higher levels of care, it reduces the burden on the consumer. And I think strengthens our value proposition because it'll reduce the burden on the consumer at the end of the day for their out-of-pocket care, provided we can provide really good quality care and help manage the resident through that process. I think it actually strengthens our value proposition.
I mean, one of the task force recommendations that has been taken up is the 2% RAD retention. How do you think that might benefit retirement villages?
I think for retirement villages, it's a big opportunity because it enables the retirement village operator to show a cost comparison to a consumer. So it makes us more comparable when they are making decisions around cost of care and accommodation. So if there is money being taken from the RAD and there is money being taken from their retirement village property side of the transaction, it sort of squares things up a little bit, particularly when the care is getting close to parity, the funding for care. So for me, I think it's a big enhancement for retirement village operators.
And finally, do you feel optimistic for the future now?
Absolutely. We always did. Because when you think about the consumer, and this is one thing I think the government has got right, I think they have put themselves into the shoes of the consumer more and thought about consumer choice. On one hand, it saves the government money by providing care in the home. They don't have to make the significant investments around residential aged care. I understand that. Um, but for us, we're supremely optimistic because the consumer now gets a lot more choice, and they get the government funding. One thing, we've just come back from the United States. There's hardly any government funding over there. So in Australia, we should actually still consider ourselves very lucky. But again, I think the government is thinking about the consumer and to a degree, meeting the needs of the consumer. We'll have to adapt to the different regulation patterns and those things we will be burdened by. But I feel quite strongly that it's a great step in the right direction.